you and Priyank. I think so many people are on LinkedIn. I think in India itself, LinkedIn has more than 80 million users today, right? And globally, more than 800 million users. Still, uh, there are very few users who create their own content. There are very few users who leverage the full potential of LinkedIn, right? So I think today's discussion will be really helpful for a lot of people who are thinking about maximizing their career potential by using LinkedIn, right? And so, the reason I'm excited today is because I know both you and Priyank have been really big power users of LinkedIn. I don't know how much time and experience you have with LinkedIn, but wherever you are today, it seems like you have been able to really sort of crack it, right? And so, yeah, it would be great to hear about your experiences, Priyank's experiences. Just a bit of background about myself and what we do here for the benefit of everybody. So I'm the founder and CEO of Pivot, and Pivot is a platform that helps people make career transitions. We focus on transitions from one field to another and one role to another. So it's slightly different from most other platforms, which will help you just with regular job changes. I see Priyank has joined us as well. Welcome, Priyank.
Thank you so much, Arjun. Good evening, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I was just sharing a little bit of intro about myself, and then I will turn it over to you and Priyal to take it forward. So just to finish there, at Pivot, we help people make career transitions from one field or role to another. One of the key things we do is help our users connect to industry experts like Priyal and Priyank, who can really help you, achieve your career goals in a smoother and faster manner by sharing their own experiences and learnings, right? The reason we wanted to do this session today is because, all three of us, Priyank, Priyal, and myself, we have been using LinkedIn for some time. And I believe Priyal and Priyank have way more experience than me. So I would be, really glad to hear their experiences. But with that being said, I just want to turn it over to Priyal. Priyal, welcome again. And thank you so much for joining us. I know you have done a lot of different things. We shared your bio with our audience, and I know it starts somewhere, but it ends completely somewhere else. You have done chartered accountancy. You're currently a consultant. You have been a national level rifle shooter. You have given multiple TEDx talks. I mean, there's a lot to talk about here, but I just want to turn it over to you and give you a chance to maybe just briefly introduce yourself.
Thanks a lot, Arjun. And I think I will deny the statement that you said that I have more experience than you with respect to LinkedIn, because I'm pretty much still very new to the platform. I literally first time downloaded the app in March 2020. It was a lockdown thing. And it was solely just to, scroll and build a professional network. The idea was never content creation. And I think for a good 6 months after I had downloaded the app, I actually put out my first post out there, which actually I had sat and curated. So if a lot of people sitting in this workshop today are at the same space and are figuring out that, we're on LinkedIn, but we don't even know how to get started, trust me, every content creator was at the same spot at some place or the other. And I especially now, when you look at my LinkedIn profile, probably you see that I'm a part of the CAP program or I'm a part of LinkedIn for Creators, but I've had no background in content creation or even content writing. It was just taking baby steps. And I think the two things that really worked are persistence and consistency. So I think that's the key in getting started. And coming about my multifaceted personality, of course, I'm literally all over the place. I'm into sports, I'm into consulting, I'm into social impact space, and I really like keeping myself busy. And I think that also gives me the opportunity to speak about an entire breadth of different topics on LinkedIn. And that's, I think, the most unique thing about my profile, that though people keep telling me, find the niche, I have not yet done that. I keep talking about everything that I'm passionate about and all the wonderful things that I do under the sun. So there is no structured LinkedIn game plan, like I would say. You figure out what your authentic plan is. You figure out what your LinkedIn game is.
Well put. Thank you for sharing that, Priyal. Very helpful. Priyank, I wanted to just briefly, share a bit about your background as well. And, similar to Priyal, I feel like you have also been, multi-potentialite. You have, I think by profession, you're a product management leader currently, but you are obviously, great content writer. You have been using LinkedIn for a short amount of time, but have built tremendous amount of engagement and following, which sort of speaks for itself. You've been very, very helpful for especially early career professionals in helping them understand, what kind of things work from a resume, interview, and job search standpoint. So I would just like to turn it over to you and see if you would like to share your background with the audience.
Also facing the same.
Yeah, I was actually checking my internet. It's me give him a minute back.
Hey everyone, sorry about that. Just some internet issues, but I was just talking about Priyank's background. So Priyank, I'll turn it over without much ado and let you speak a bit about, how you typically help people in their careers and what you do as a product manager.
Sure. Thank you so much, Arjun. So I started writing consistently since 10th of April 2021, and it's been an amazing journey since last 15 months. And I am putting the content on multiple domains, especially on management consulting, product management, general career guidance, especially how you can change the role and how you can think beyond your current role, and also tips on giving how you can make a stellar resume. So how I can build my large audience of 100K plus in that 14 months. The secret was only consistency. I used to write the post around 3 to 4 times in a day. People actually used to criticize me that why you are putting the content so frequently, but it works for me and my target audience. My target audience was actually very clear. I used to give the sessions consistently for the B school, the DU college students, as well as the engineering graduates. So that's how my audience was keep on building organically, and that's how I was able to fulfill their needs, their expectations, and that's how I have built my own personal brand through the LinkedIn.
Perfect, perfect. I mean, one thing that comes out clearly in both what you and Priyal said is the big role that consistency plays in, helping leverage that platform. So I'm sure we will get into it more as we progress into our discussion. But, I want to start by taking some baby steps, just start by like focusing on the basics of LinkedIn before we get into content creation and those other things, right? So one thing is pretty clear to me, at least, that most people use LinkedIn to consume content, right? So they would either just view content or sometimes they may like, and very few times they may comment. Apart from that, the time that most people become super active on LinkedIn is when they are looking for a role, for a new role. And they would start sending typically new people some DMs about helping land a job or just applying for roles on LinkedIn, right? So those are the main activities that I think majority of users do on LinkedIn. From my perspective, that's not even scratching the surface of this platform, right? So I think where we can start is by talking about building our profile on LinkedIn, right? Because that is number one thing that you have to do as a user. And I personally see there's a whole huge scope for improvement even in that, because most people just share very basic stuff, right? So maybe Priyank, we can start with you. If you can just share your thoughts about like how should people go about creating their profile or optimizing their profile if they already have one, so that they can maximize their reach and impact.
Sure. Thank you so much. So first of all, profile optimization is a very, very critical step in order to create your own personal brand on the link. So you can start creating your profile from the scratch, especially if you have already created the profile, you can please scratch it and start with your professional picture. The majority of the users are not uploading their photograph, or they use their selfies to upload on the platform on the LinkedIn. So make sure your picture should be professional look. The face should cover around 60% of your total picture. Then keep the benefit of your banner, especially it highlights your core skills and services areas. Normally, none of the user actually use the benefit of the banner. So this will actually speaks a lot about your brand, because the first vision when you open someone's profile directly strike your vision on the banner. So use this particular banner, customize it with the help of a couple of tools like Canva, Figma, and other tools are also there in the market. So you can use that and highlight your core skills or the services which you are offering to the community. Third is the most important is your headline. So in the headline, you have to use the eye-catching keywords which grab the attention of the user who is visiting your profile, and add the relevant keywords in your headline. Don't make the headline so big, just like a few people are actually making big, more than 3 to 4 lines, but keep it short, but the main keyword should be there. Then location should be there, which is a current one. And the most important aspect is your summary. So it means about me. This about me, please don't neglect it. Keep it a personal touch on your about me, what you are doing and what you are going on this platform, and what type of services you are going to offer, and what are your skill sets, and talk about your strength. And if you are using this column or this paragraph in the storytelling approach, then definitely it will speaks about your confidence and your own brand. So make it very clear what you are doing and what you want to gain out of this particular platform, because everybody actually read it, not only just the freelancers or the clients, but also the recruiter also have a look on your about me section. So keep it strong as much as you can. And the lastly is your recommendations. This is very, very important. So in the past, if you ever work with any of your client or your ex-managers or your subordinates or your seniors, get your recommendations and those on your profile, and get the skills and those on your profile that will also talk about your authenticity, because this is your digital resume on LinkedIn, and whosoever glance your profile, they hardly spend 5 to 10 seconds on your profile. So make sure the right keyword should be there on your profile, which speaks about your authenticity, your brand, and your values. So that's why profile optimization is the first step.
Priyank, I mean, that was so comprehensive. I feel like you invented LinkedIn yourself. It almost feels like that. But you know, those were very, very, I would say, like you know, kind of like a scientific sort of a process for each and every real estate on your profile, right?
Yeah.
I think, you know, we want to discuss the same thing with you, but slightly in a different way. Maybe like if you were to tell people the 3 most important things that you think they should prioritize in terms of optimizing their profile, what are those 3 things? I mean, Priyank shared a whole host of, you know, list of things that you can do, but sometimes people don't have that kind of bandwidth or time to be able to pull it off. So if you were to just focus on 3 core things, what would they be?
So I think the first and the most important thing is the profile picture, and I just feel this is so heavily underestimated. We don't understand the importance of a profile picture. We just feel it's like putting up another WhatsApp DP or an Instagram profile picture, but it's not, because the sense of LinkedIn as a professional networking platform is very different. So I'm not suggesting that get a fancy headshot click. Of course, if you know someone who is good at clicking professional headshots and it fits your budget, do that. But something as basic as just standing against a white wall and getting a clean image clicked is very, very important, because when you're sending someone a friend request, that's the connection request, that's the first thing that shows up. Your headline and your profile picture, even your cover photo might not entirely show. So a profile picture is very important, and not keeping a profile picture is also a big red flag. So I would suggest get a good profile picture. That's the first important thing. And secondly, make sure your headline really in a very crisp and fine manner speaks about who you are or what your qualifications are, what your background are. It doesn't generally, in my personal opinion, only have to limit to your qualifications. Like if you look at my headline, I've kept it a balance of, you know, what my qualifications are, what I do at work, and also what I do outside of work. So it actually gives like a very holistic picture of the multifaceted personality I am. So I think that is something that is still up to you, but still there should be some discussion, because you need to understand that a lot of connection requests that are going to and fro between people every day. And out of all the connection requests you get, often you don't have the time to sit and open the profile and actually look up the person. So at that time, the profile picture and the headline are literally your main selling points. So these are two things you should definitely focus on. A third thing that I still feel, of course, like Priyank said, the summary is also important, the photo is also important. But if I have to only pick three, I think you shouldn't even discount the featured section on your profile, because that gives you a chance to, highlight 4 or 5 of your top posts or your most important posts. And my consistent recommendation to everyone is, if you can or you are comfortable with creating image posts on LinkedIn, you should definitely do that, because pictures speak a lot more about you than just text content. So you can create 4 or 5 image posts that speak about you, what you do at work, or maybe about your hobby or any achievement, and you can add them to your featured section. So it actually shows up like as a dashboard, or like a headline which shows the picture and about 3-4 lines of description of the picture. So I think that is also a great way to actually tell 3-4 different things about you that actually give a great idea about who you are as an individual. So if I had to only choose 3, these were the 3 that I would absolutely stress on.
Sure. Yeah, that's very helpful. I think just to summarize, what you shared is the 3 most important things are having a great profile picture that focuses on your headshot, then having a great headline which summarizes whatever within your professional or outside of work area, the things that you focus on, and then last thing would be your featured section, where you can share some of your key achievements or contributions that you've made at work. So yeah, those are super helpful. And one thing I would just like to add to that is, it also depends on what your goal is ultimately, why you are using LinkedIn, right? For example, I think if you are looking for a role, or if you're, let's say, a freelancer, a lot of times you need to build strong credibility, right? So for that, a social proof is really helpful, right? That can come in the form of, let's say, some public speaking that you have done, or it could come, like Priyank was alluding to earlier, it could come in the form of recommendations, right? Those are also super helpful. So I think knowing what your goal is can really help you target which sections are going to be most relevant for you. So thank you for sharing that. I think I think moving on to the most important part of this discussion, which is content creation, right? Now, that is the, I would say, 10,000 pound gorilla in the room, because like I said earlier, most people do not use LinkedIn or any other social media platform really to create content. They use it to consume it, right? And a lot of times they feel like there is no real advantage of creating content, or they don't have anything unique to share with others, that would help them get engagement, right? So, but we have seen time and again that good content creator can really come from anywhere. You don't need to be, checking certain boxes to be a good content creator. So you guys, both of you, Priyal and Priyank, have been prolific content creators. Priyank, as you mentioned, you've posted almost 3 to 4 times a day, which is outstanding. So again, maybe could you start by sharing some of your, most important tips on how to get started in content creation on LinkedIn, especially if you're new to it? And what have your key learnings been, because you've been doing this for about a year, slightly over a year. I'm sure there are things that you have learned and kind of modified in your approach. So yeah, if you could just share those 2 things, that'd be great.
Sure. So the first thing for the freshers is, don't worry about the audience, what they feel after reading their content, because majority of the people actually are unable to write anything. They try to write, but they simply discard it, or they generally save their post somewhere else, but they never you can just share on the LinkedIn. The reason behind is because they feel that what will happen if suppose someone read my post, they will start laughing that what kind of content I have written, or what my manager feel, what my colleagues will feel about my writing style and all. So don't have such kind of fear in your mind, because this is the first thing you have to overcome, especially overcome the fear. Once you have decided that you have to start writing on the LinkedIn, don't care about the people, especially don't care about whether you actually get any kind of reactions or comments on your post. Please don't feel bad about it, because it may happen. In fact, I also didn't get any kind of engagement for the initial 3 months. I'm telling you very honestly on this case, but I consistently writing on the same. Now, how to get the idea in writing the content? You can start sharing your own experience. Just like suppose if you are already an experienced person, then how you come across this particular profile and how you have gained your own professional image. You can share your own personal experience, or you can share your own professional experience, like any professional journey, how you have transitioned from one role to another role. That can have a multiple pieces of your content. Or you can share your own struggles or the challenges which you have faced in your life and how did you overcome the same. It can be a great amazing story, because stories generally get the traction on the LinkedIn, and definitely it will works, and sometimes your stories become viral as well. You can also start posting about your own learnings, what you gained through your parents, through your subordinates, through your managers, through your ex-clients, or through your current clients. uh, Most important is be authentic what you are writing, and make sure you should not have any kind of grammatical or punctuation mistakes. That really matters, because that actually get more traction on the LinkedIn. Regarding the other pieces of content, you can also try, apart from the textual one, you can also try the image content. You can use the tools like Canva or Figma that actually help you to showcase your visuals on the LinkedIn. You can also create carousels. Minimum 5 to 12 slides is enough for you to showcase your visuals through the carousels. That also works on the LinkedIn. Not only this, you can also create your video content if you are comfortable to create your own reels and post on the LinkedIn. And make sure it should be small, because 2 to 3 minutes is the average attention span of every person whosoever is going through your content. So that kind of multiple varieties are there. You can start writing any content whom you are feeling comfortable with. But most important is be consistent. At least start posting twice in a week. Then slowly, you can increase your consistency up to 3 times in a week, then 4 times in a week. That it's doable for you. And make sure about the timing as well, because timing is also important to gain the traction. Don't post your content and the odd timing, especially late in the midnight or early in the morning, because generally users are active in the morning daytime between 9 to 10, or in the evening 6 to 7. That is the most ideal time when actually the post will be noticed by your followers as well as your first degree connections. That is really important, because unnecessarily your post will be unread, and maybe it become down, you can say dead, after 45 to 60 minutes of your duration. So these are the few tips if you can consider in the initial stage. Definitely you will gain the traction, and slowly you will create your own personal brand. Now, when you don't get that traction on any of your posts, try to do the self retrospection, that what will happen, why it didn't perform well. It can be multiple reasons like timing and the, you can say, the nature of the content which your followers or first degree connection don't appreciate it. But keep on experimenting, keep on posting like polls, keep on posting your images, carousels, experiment with each and every piece of the content. That actually helps you to grow further on the LinkedIn. So don't try only one form of the content, rather try multiple variants of the content. That is the only hack to grow quickly on the LinkedIn.
Right. I mean, that's a treasure trove of, information and knowledge there. I hope people were able to digest it and, actually be able to take some good notes there, because again, they're all great tips, but remember, they're coming from somebody who's been using LinkedIn for a whole year and, very consistently. So Priyal, again, if we talk about the same things, but in a slightly more pointed way, there are general rules of thumb around content creation, a lot of which Priyank touched upon, right? Like, for example, consistency and, storytelling techniques and kind of self-reflecting on what's working, what's not, right? So there are these rules of thumb out there, but again, it's very hard to sort of meet them or check the box every single time, right? So, and I'm sure there are different styles of content creation as well. It's not that the same thing works for everybody. So how did you develop your own content writing style on LinkedIn? Maybe share just kind of your journey on LinkedIn and how it, like over a period of time, you realize what sort of content you wanted to create that your audience now resonates with so much.
Yeah, I'm glad actually you asked this question, because while Priyank was stressing on the fact that, don't hesitate to experiment and put yourself out there, I think that's the most important thing. And even like 1.5 years later into creating content, I'm still experimenting. I'm still trying out new things. So going back to how I started, when I started posting actively around October, November 2020, I literally used to post about everything across the breadth of things that I'm interested in talking, or I genuinely am passionate about. So there used to be any post relating to chartered accountancy, anything related to consulting, sports, social impact. And this used to be a mix of probably personal stories, because I always believe the audience can relate more better to personal experiences. There used to be knowledge-based posts, and then there used to also be updates or career milestones. So it used to be a healthy mix of everything. And I think for the first 2 or 3 months, that is what I did. I just put out different types of posts, and I also experimented with putting them out on different days of the week and times of the day. And I think close to 10 to 12 weeks later, I kind of realized that, I'm probably getting more engagement on long form post or short form post. Video content wasn't really working for me then, but I'm going to be experimenting it again. So it really depends at that point of time, what your audience is more engaged in with respect to the kind of content you're putting out. With respect to different types of posts also, I believe experiment with different length of the post. See, even when you zero down that, okay, fine, short form post is probably what worked for you. Further deep dive into, was it the opening catchy line? Was it the hashtag? Was it the key takeaway? Or was it just relatable because it was relating to some personal experience? So I think if you're someone who's just starting off, like, really feel free to experiment. Don't focus on the metrics. And I think 2-3 content creators, including you, Arjun, sitting on the call today, are saying right now that no matter what, always experiment. So for now, also, I'm a part of the CAP program, and I decided to be creating content on a topic that's very tangentially different from what I have been posting content about. It's something that I have been personally passionate about and been working on. So my topic is women entrepreneurship. And before that, I had never put out content relating to that. But I just felt this was my chance to experiment. And I have been doing that. And initially, I did see a drop in engagement metrics, but I'm still like learning, going and putting myself out there. So I would say don't really hesitate. Don't chase the metrics at the start, or don't hesitate to experiment. And trust me, like, don't even worry about the fact that Priyank said that, people will judge. What will people say? You will be surprised that when you actually put yourself out there, the amount of positivity that comes in actually trades off any hate comments or negative comments that actually come in. So I would say just put yourself out there.
Amazing. So yeah, experimentation and continuous kind of self-reflection on, what is working, what's not, and then improving and improvising your style based on that. That is, I would say, simple but super effective, and I have found those things to be working for myself as well. So thank you for those insights, Priyal. Just before we move on to the next topic, I just want to let the audience know we'll cover one more key topic here, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So please start sharing I already see a lot of questions coming in the chat box, but please continue to share them in the chat. We'll cover them just in about 5-10 minutes from now. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, there's this very big buzzword that everybody, a lot of LinkedIn content creators themselves use, is hacks, right? LinkedIn hacks. I personally am not a big fan of this word because it feels like you're doing something that's not right? Like it's unethical or something. But basically, these hacks are usually shortcuts to, achieving your goals on the platform, whatever those goals might be, right? So there are 4 key goals that I was thinking of talking about in the next session, in the next part of our discussion. What I want to ask you, Priyank, is if somebody is focused on primarily 2 things, right? Let's say they want to create content to drive organic leads, especially, these are people who are, let's say, coaches and freelancers and sometimes entrepreneurs like myself as well. What are some of the things that you would recommend to them? And similar to that, the other goal, which I know a lot of full-time employees, so not necessarily self-employed people, but full-time employees look for collaboration opportunities outside of their organization, right? So speaking at other events, finding right partners for their business, those kind of things. So these are very specific goals that I know a lot of LinkedIn users aspire to achieve. What would be some of your learnings and tips for specifically these 2 goals?
Okay, so brilliant question you have asked, Arjun. Thank you for that. So when you are writing the content, you should have a clarity about your goal, what you want to achieve. Suppose if you want to become a career coach, then put the content revolving around the career coaching, especially helping the individuals by sharing your experience and how they can get benefit from your expertise. Or you can share the tips on how they can make a transition from one role to another role, or how they can shift their industry from organization to another one. That kind of tips actually help to grow on the LinkedIn. But just sharing the you can say content on the LinkedIn will definitely never works for you until unless you share the real life examples and also put the supporting content. Just like suppose if you want to conduct a speaker session, especially in any of the institution, then wherever you start, for any college or any community or any school, doesn't matter the brand, but wherever you start, just share the learning along with the pictures, along with the you can say challenges which you faced in your first session. Be very humble and share with the community. That's how you will start getting the traction. And slowly when you do this for at least 6 to 7 sessions, then you will start getting the more and more engagement from the different audience, because actually people read your content. They will never react on your content, they will never put any kind of engagement, but they actually read your content, and that's how you will get more and more engagements in the future. So start this activity, this will also help you. Doesn't matter only for speaking engagement, but also if you want to create your brand, or if you want to become a good freelancer, or you want to sell your services in content writing space, that also will help you. So start sharing your experiences with the first client, with the first course, with the first college, and what was your learning, what was the challenges. That actually will help you. Regarding the getting the future engagement, so be very clear what's your niche is. Stick to your own niche, and that's how you will get the right kind of the engagements in the future. Because if you don't stick to your niche, then you will get unnecessary requests from the people or the brands that please start helping us, or give us the opportunity to participate in our institute and all. That actually will deviate from your own goal. So be very clear what is your niche, and the same keyword should be there in your headline as well as in your about me section. And whatsoever the best event you have, put it featured on your LinkedIn profile. This will speaks a lot about your credibility. And if possible, I will highly recommend you have your own website. This will also increase your chances to grow on the LinkedIn, because LinkedIn also allows you the feature that you can link your website on your profile page, and this will help you to grow organically on the LinkedIn. So that's how you can say get a complementary benefit to the LinkedIn digital resume.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Priyank. Priyal, so two other goals that I think are commonly aspired for by especially the early stage professionals, right? Which I know, Priyank, you also have a lot of experience in. But Priyal, from your experience on LinkedIn, networking and picking up new skills within your field, right? These two things, so networking and skill acquisition, is something that generally people who are just graduating from college, freshers and early stage professionals are really focused on, right? How would you recommend that they get started in these two goal achievement areas, basically?
So I think my networking is always on steroids with respect to LinkedIn. So like happy to talk about it. With respect to networking, yes, I think that's a big one of the biggest essence of LinkedIn as a platform. It's about reaching out to folks and actually like widening your network, speaking to more like-minded people, and trust me, over the time that I have spent on LinkedIn, like the right networking. So a lot of people, first of all, misunderstand the concept of networking. They just feel networking means getting onto a spree of sending connection requests, increasing my number of connections, and then it's like, oh, I have 10K connections and 15K connections. But that's not what networking is. Networking is actually about building meaningful connections. So even if you like send a connection request out to 1,000 people, that's still not in a very good place to be, rather than having like 50 good, meaningful conversations, meaningful connections on LinkedIn. So the right networking has actually opened doors, more doors for me than what my degree did. So that is the importance of networking. And I'm someone who consistently says that, you know, your network is your net worth. So with respect to whatever game plan you have with respect to LinkedIn. It can be, building your network within finance, or just searching, like interacting with the right folks in any industry that you're interested in, or any organizations that they are working in, that you want to work in. I would say, like, make a networking plan, make a list of people you want to interact with. Every time you send out a connection request, one huge thing that I always follow is make use of that add note feature that is there with the connection request, because a lot of these people get like hundreds of connection requests every day, and trust me, even I get those many connection requests every day, and out of that, just 5 or 6 people actually care to drop a personal note when they send out a connection request, and that can do wonders, because in that you can actually give a 1 or 2 line introduction about yourself, the agenda, why you seek to connect with them, and whether you look forward to keep in touch, or is it something immediate that you want their attention with respect to. So I would say that when it comes to networking, do targeted networking, make use of the add note feature, and most importantly, also learn to keep in touch with people. And I would say, by learning to keep in touch with people, it's not always sliding into their DMs. It can be about staying engaged in the content they create, or sharing something interesting that you might have come across that you probably feel they might also be interested in. So that is pretty much with respect to when it comes to networking. And this is something that I invest like a lot of hours in every day.
Yeah, I really hope that is something that people take away from this workshop, right? Because I do agree with you. There's a lot of scope for improvement in how people network, even on LinkedIn, which is the biggest professional networking platform, right? To really derive meaningful outcomes. The other side of this, Priyal, which we were planning to cover, was the learning and skill acquisition side, right? So I know LinkedIn Learning obviously is a big part of the platform, which, again, I'm not sure, I don't have the numbers, but I know a lot of people don't really leverage it. And there may be other learning opportunities, because I see a lot of posts today which do a tear down of different business concepts, or different business stories that you can take away some key ideas from. So anything that you want to share in terms of learnings and skill acquisition via LinkedIn?
So that, since you like specifically brought up LinkedIn Learning, I myself have explored LinkedIn Learning, and I've found a lot of courses over there very relevant, and especially they have a lot of courses with respect to setting up your LinkedIn profile or other things that you can do. So I would suggest to explore those courses. And the good thing about them are they're these short courses that you can listen if you're traveling somewhere or just taking like a quick break. It's nothing too heavy or too knowledge intensive that might actually like drain you or overwhelm you. So I would strongly recommend to definitely explore the different options that are there in LinkedIn Learning. And besides that, there are a lot of other external learning opportunities also. A lot of courses, skill-based courses that I did, I actually stumbled upon them when I was just scrolling through my feed, and I probably came across a post where somebody was speaking about it or was pursuing it or had just completed it. So I would say keep an eye on such kind of posts. Keep an eye on people who consistently upskill and share their updates or experiences about different courses. Now that it's a platform where you see a lot of creators creating knowledge-based content, actively follow them. And this is especially for college students. There are a lot of creators out there, people like Priyank, who keep posting things about career building, profile building, what you can do. And trust me, I wish this is the kind of support or information I had when I was in college, because these are things they don't dedicatedly teach you in college. It's very academic focused, and then suddenly when you like enter the job market or join a platform like LinkedIn, you actually realize that there is so much more you can learn. It's not just about having a strong GPA. So I would say follow such content creators. There are a lot of think tanks and other platforms also that are there on LinkedIn that you can probably sign up for, a lot of other edtech forums. So I think there's an entire ocean of learning opportunities. So keeping this in mind, I would also suggest that, be mindful of where you actually invest your time and efforts. Choose your battles wisely, because you may have 10 options and then you may just go on a spree of doing course after course. And this was a very standard thing when the lockdown had started off. I used to see people do 10, 11 Coursera and Udemy courses in the same week, but just pick what you think is going to be a real value add for you, where you are going to be investing your time and effort. And another thing that I definitely suggest is, before you do that course, you can speak to someone who's already done that. You get to see that in the course section of people's LinkedIn profile, that is again a big thing, because that gives you like the most authentic feedback, whether what the real credibility of that course is. So there are a lot of learning opportunities. So I would suggest, if you're someone who's really looking at upskilling, you'll have way too many options. And, more than exploring about, what is available on the platform, the bigger challenge for you will be, what should I actually be doing out of these 10,000 options that I have?
Thank you. That again, super helpful. And I think at this point, we have a lot of questions in the chat box. So I want to turn my attention to that. And I was just scrolling through the feed and trying to identify if there was one question or a couple of questions that were coming up more often than the others. And one that, I think was briefly already covered, but it's around, what's the ultimate goal of content creation apart from traction, right? Because especially for new creators who are just starting out, Priyank, you mentioned this earlier, that the first couple of months may be a lull. You may not see a lot of traction engagement, right? So it's hard to stay motivated. So what was the goal for you, and what kept you motivated when you were just starting out as a content creator, where engagement and traction was obviously not very high at that time?
The sense of motivation for me was I used to get DMs on regular basis, especially 1 or 2 DMs in a week. And they say that I really like your content. It really helps me a lot. In fact, I always remember one DM, which was from one of the student who is actually studying in, you can say, tier 3 college. And she mentioned that because of your tips, which you write in the content, due to your post, I was able to crack the Unilever job. Especially as a marketing executive. Although my post was not performed well, hardly I get just 20 impressions on the post and maximum 10 to 12 comments. But that give me intrinsic motivation that because of my post, if someone is getting the job, I don't care about my audience, whether I should get the engagement or not. I start keeping posting twice a day. That from that day onwards, it has kick-started my journey to post multiple times. And thereafter, when I start getting these kind of DMs that people are appreciating my comments, my post, and my you can say writing style, then it gives me more intrinsic motivation to write more and more. And that's how I started. And I started caring about looking at the engagement part. So when you feel that you are writing the content, it is on the right track, then people automatically appreciate you, not by engagement, but also by DMs also. And also you will get the connection request via personalized note also. They will definitely mention it. Whosoever get benefit, they will come and inform you. Don't worry about that. And don't worry about the failure that you are not getting enough followers on the account. This is just a byproduct. Trust me. If you're writing amazing content, it is authentic and it is helpful for the younger generation, definitely you will get the followers automatically. So followers is a byproduct. Focus on what you want to share rather than expecting what I am getting from writing the content. People want to say that if I have to write something on my feed, then definitely I should get X amount of money. You can't charge like that. The thing is, when you are writing, be honest, be very clear why you want to do this and what you want to achieve. If your motive is to mentor and guide other people, don't expect these kind of things. Automatically, you will get a super amazing brand at one particular day. And this has happened on with me. And trust me, I would like to inform you in this open forum that I got around 330 speaking engagement because of LinkedIn only. Because I keep sharing and writing the content, and every day I'm getting 3 to 4 new engagements because of LinkedIn, because of writing the content. And I am, and in fact, the students of those colleges where I haven't spoken so far, they also know more about me. In fact, when I go anywhere, especially moving outside of my home and meeting the new people, I will be amazed that people are aware about me, that this is a person who actually write the content so amazing and this is helping the people. And I'm feeling very happy from bottom of my heart that people are recognizing my efforts. So that's how automatically you will get the ROI, but a later point of time. But don't worry about ROI at the initial stages.
That's, that's something that I heard once during a LinkedIn, I think it was a networking session with some LinkedIn creators. And, what was raised as a point is, your ROI will not be determined based on the number of likes and comments and
Yeah.
shares you get.
Absolutely.
It really is based on the amount of value you actually add, to your community, right? And kind of incentivize new kind of achievements and partnerships between people where they can ultimately achieve their goals. So getting DMs, getting even, I would say, one DM a day where a person recognizes the value of your content should be a good motivation enough for you to continue rather than, looking at whether you have 5, 10 or more likes. So that's very aptly put, Priyank. And honestly, a lot of your content has a tremendous amount of value that anybody, who's starting out in their career or even trying to switch jobs can gain benefits from. So thank you for doing that. Priyal, I want to kind of talk about another question that's put out here and get your perspective on it, which is around, targeting X number of followers. So there are a couple of questions around, how do we gain new followers, right? Which I think, we have kind of covered. So if you want to touch upon that, feel free to do this. But more importantly, people are asking, where does the magic happen in terms of, X number of followers, after which suddenly they get more traction, they are able to achieve their goals faster, and they become quote unquote a LinkedIn content creator. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a very tough question, because I keep asking myself that, between where I started to where I am today, where did the tables actually turn? And I think it just happens magically somewhere in between, because when you keep posting and you get that kind of engagement, you figure out that what kind of content I put out there is the real value add for my audience, or what really engages my audience. So right now also, when I create my post, the first question that I ask myself is someone reading out there, shelling their 30 or 40 seconds of time, is it going to be of any value add to them? Do they have any key takeaway at the end of it? Or does it have that one element that they would be happy to probably come back and read my content? So I think any content you put out there, make sure that there is always something to it. That is why I see a lot of people just put out achievement or milestone related posts, which is also very important, because that is a pathway to build your personal brand. But don't just be it like, hey, I got promoted, or hey, I did this. You can share a little experience about how you went around with the entire process, how you worked with that promotion, how you got it, and what your lesson or key learning from this particular achievement of yours is there. So I think that is very important. And secondly, once you start posting, there are these 1 or 2 posts that really just click, or they take off. And trust me, I think no content creator can create a post and be like, ye aaj viral hoga. Nobody knows that secret sauce. Nobody knows. It's like a black box. So all I would say is, just figure out what kind of content is working for you, what day and time of the week you should be putting it out there, and just silently wait and watch for the magical and wait and watch for the magic to happen. And trust me, it will. We've all been there at some point or the other. There was this so I told you I started posting in October 2020, and almost after 6 months later, I had that one viral post of mine last year in July, which almost had like 1.2 billion impressions. And before I put that post, I never imagined that this post would go so viral, but it did. So I mean, that is how it is. So all you have to do is you got to do what you have to do.
Right. I think ultimate focus, like Priyank said, is on kind of providing value to your community, and you never know which one would really click, right? The algos work in mysterious ways, So the next question is very relevant to what we are doing at Pivot, right? It's from Rahul. And it seems like Rahul is trying to switch to a new industry from his current job. He hasn't shared which particular industry, but I think for anybody who's trying to make a career transition from one role to another, what kind of things could they do on LinkedIn in terms of content creation to build their personal brand, or to identify the right set of opportunities in the new field? I think those are the 2 key questions here with regard to career shift. So either one of you wants to go first, Priyank or Priyal, whoever wants to take it first.
Okay, I will take up this. So my 2 cents here are that if you want to make a shift from one company to another company, or suppose one industry to another industry, start focusing on writing the content of your target industry or target organization. You can start from anywhere, just like stay updated with the company news on industry, you can say things which is happening in the market, or you can pick up any topic which is at the debatable or is a little bit controversial, but not political, only controversial at all, and start putting up your views. But when you are writing some content on these particular topics, don't criticize anyone. Be very careful on the same, because people actually not appreciate it and the reach will automatically goes down. But be very positive and be respect whatever the views and opinion you are sharing on the LinkedIn platform. That is the most important point. Second is you can share, you can ask the community that what are your views as part of your call to action. That's how you can drive the engagement on such kind of post. Second thing is you can also write, share your own case studies, your own learnings, and your own views and opinions about any product or any services which is being offered in that particular domain. And that's how it creates more visibility on the platform, because recruiters are also seeing your content, what type of value you are going to add on this particular community. Because whosoever is going to hire you, at least recruiter will scan your profile, and if they see that you have the exposure of those particular industry and their practices and their product and services, and you are excellent in sharing the views and opinions, then definitely they will consider you a chance and have a discussion during the interview. That particular one glance of your post by your recruiter will definitely help to land up into a dream job. But this will happen only if your views and opinions are honest without any criticism. And this is a magic which works for multiple students and the professional, because I keep on interacting with the people. I got a feedback that they started to do that, and it really makes it wonderful.
Got it. Got it. Next one is around dealing with self-doubt. And I think some of this we touched upon earlier. Priyank, you talked about how getting even, that one DM or meeting somebody who acknowledges the kind of value you are providing through content is a good enough motivation, right? So that is the motivation side of things. But when you're starting out, even I may have at some level experienced this when I was just starting out on LinkedIn. I wasn't sure if I was going to A, add value, and B, whether, people would engage with my content, and, if it's going to change anything for me or the platform at all, right? So that self-doubt is extremely, I would say, withholding. It kind of like holds you back, and it really makes you feel like you are not going to be able to achieve a lot on the platform. I don't know if either of you went through this, but Priyal, I'm sure you have been coming in touch with a lot of people through your LinkedIn posts. What are some of your pointers to them around dealing with self-doubt when they're getting started as a content creator?
So I think it happens a lot at the start, and not just with respect to people I've interacted with. Even when I started off, there was a lot of self-doubt because, like I said, I had no prior experience with respect to content writing. I used to really dread writing essays when I was in school. I just absolutely hated it. I'm more of a person who's comfortable with maths and numbers, hence a chartered accountant, and not with content writing and writing essays and storytelling. So I think I also had a lot of self-doubt, and I remember I used to like curate posts, and it used to be just lying in my notepad, and then I'm only like reading it again and again for 2 or 3 days, asking myself, is it good enough? At times I used to scrap the post, edit it. Then I used to start thinking of myself, what if someone misinterprets this in a wrong way, or what different interpretations it can have. So at the start, a lot of this happens. But I think the only solution to it is actually putting yourself out there. And the good thing for me is when I started off, there were these 2 or 3 people I had connected with who were already posting on LinkedIn, and they really gave me that extra nudge. They were like, what, just put yourself out there, and it's okay. You don't have to worry about anyone judging you or anyone telling you. So I think the best solution to this is just, putting 1 or 2 posts out there and not worrying or looking about the engagement metrics. And I think this is the beauty of the platform, because like other social media platforms, they can be all about views and metrics and followers, but LinkedIn is not like that. And I think even the LinkedIn creator management team has really proved that to us, because if you look at the 200 content creators that they have selected for CAP, there is everyone right from just 1,000 followers to someone with 1 lakh followers. So they are also only focusing on how authentic your content is, what your idea is, and what you're actually putting it out there. No one's really chasing the engagement metrics. So I would say when the platform also doesn't really care, with where you're starting off or where you are right now, but only cares about, what meaningful content you're putting out there. I think this should be a validation about, not doubting yourself with what the response will be on the post or what anybody else would say. So I would suggest just, curate your post and put it out there. And if you still feel you have some doubts, you can feel free to connect with me or Priyank. Like, I know a lot of creators who helped me out at the starting stage, which is why when anybody reaches out to me now, I never hesitate to support, because we've been there, so we understand how complicated this can get at times in your mind.
Yeah, brilliant. So I think we probably have time for just one other question here, and then we'll move on. So the one question is, we talked about how it's important to focus on your industry or on the goal that you're trying to achieve and create content around that. I think Sachin and a couple of other folks want to know, is it okay to create general kind of content which does not always focus on the same topic? And if so, then how do you decide what those topics should be? Because maybe not everybody has a goal to achieve through content creation. They just want to experiment and see what it's like. So any advice to those people, Priyank?
Can you repeat the question once again?
Basically, we were talking about how it's important to focus on a specific industry or niche topic when you start creating content to get some momentum and consistency. There are a couple of people who are doubting the fact that they need to necessarily do that. What if they want to just create generic content and experiment how it goes? Any thoughts or tips on that?
Yeah, generic content creation and posting on the LinkedIn actually never helps you, because this will bring unwanted audience to get added in your profile. So be very specific and stick to your own niche and identify your own area of expertise and start writing the content. This will not only help you to gain more visibility on the platform, but it will help you to network with the right target audience, because this will help you to grow further on the LinkedIn organically. And it also helps you to create more connections which are meaningful for your brand, and also bring more engagements in the future. Just like, suppose if you want to become a speaker or a career coach, then the same kind of you can say request will coming from the audience, and this will help you to create your brand. Second thing is also help you to you can say succeed as a professional. And also, if you want to make your own you can say startup journey, that will also help you to create your more corrections. So in my opinion, you should not deviate from by writing the generic content. Be very specific what you want to write.
Okay, that's good tip. And I would kind of echo that thought. Priyal, I think we are pretty much done here. Any parting thoughts that you want to share with our audience today on getting started on the LinkedIn journey and keeping their faith alive through challenges or kind of lack of traction and those things?
So I think one thing that I would definitely suggest is do this, because the personal branding is very, very important. And like Priyank said, having a website in today's time is very important. So at this stage, you feel that having a website is something that you would not want to do. Even LinkedIn is something that is very important from a personal branding perspective. Digital visibility really matters in today's age. A lot of times, if you have to nominate yourself for any speaking opportunity or for being a representative for any event or any campaign, many a times I ask you to share a social media handle. So that is the kind of importance, because they are a great way of speaking about you and giving a validation. So I would suggest just look at the innumerable positives and the advantage that lie on one side, and then on other side, of course, there is self-doubt. There is what will other people say and things like that. But just continue to focus on the positives and just start putting content out there. You'll really be surprised how much the platform has to offer.
Awesome. I think that was perfect. Thank you both so much for joining me today. I think this was super helpful. Even for myself, there are a lot of things that I have been on LinkedIn for about a year that I didn't know about. So thank you for sharing your deep insights and experiences. And thanks to everyone who was able to join us today. I hope this was helpful for you. I believe Priyank has already shared his LinkedIn profile. Priyal, I'm just typing yours here.
I did it too.
And you did it too. So, okay, great. So anybody, if you need any sort of help, guidance, support from Priyal or Priyank on your LinkedIn journey, please do reach out. Last thing I would say is, we will be reaching out to you all to see if you need any support in your overall career goals with a focus on making any sort of career shifts from one industry to another. If you'd like to work with us, do let us know. I'm sharing the company website here as well. Feel free to check it out. And thanks everyone again for joining us on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll meet again soon. Thanks, Priyank. Thanks, Priyal. Take care.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Arjun. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.